Oh, good morning, valiant yogis and yoginis. Incredible, remarkable, incredible that each of you would spend some moments in the total purest vibrations you could imagine this morning because you are and we are just absorbing in the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita of all the things that you could be up to right now, that you have chosen. You have chosen this scripture. And this scripture, as we learned about last week, the right understanding of scriptural guidance for the conduct of life. How could we really exist without a scripture? How could we really, get enthused about the spirit when this world is just seemingly so dense, and so intense with its Maya and delusion and outward bound, you know, histrionics, histrionics, and for us to be here now just to absorb the light, the truth, and the title for our Gita this morning is the perfection of the self, the perfection of your true self. So, can I just ask you for a moment to reflect on that throughout this hour or the underneath that hour, about 45 minutes that we have this morning? Can you just maybe keep iterating in your heart and in your mind the perfection of you? I know it sounds kind of crazy. There's a dog moving in. I just read a post from a intuitive vet, and I saved it because if any of you are a dog owner or a pet owner, it's the greatest post that I've ever read about a dog, and it's intuitive and it's amazing. So let me know if you want that later on. I can maybe pass it on. Anyway, my doodles are with me, and so are all the unseen, most spectacular divine beings are with us as well, my dears, this morning. So we are on page 979. First, let me welcome Narayan and Mary and Alex and Lisa and Jim and Danny and Brooke for all those things that I just said. I'm so I'm so proud of you tuning and aligning with your soul self in the midst of all this craziness that we live in today's world. But you were asked to be here this time in this incarnation. You have your soul on a mission, my dears. There's no question about it. We all are. But anyway, we're on page 979. If you do have volume 2 of God Talks to Arjuna, Yogananda's commentary, obviously. And we're going to be ending this chapter 16 very soon now. And there's only 18 chapters. Oh, which one is that? Oh, that's happy. There she is. There she is. That's happy. Yeah. I call her Happy Ever After. And my other dog's name is Hope, and I hopes and dreams. I call her Hopes and Dreams, dreaming of the truth, dreaming of the perfection. So just be with this idea that you are perfect as you are right now, but not as you are as the human, so to speak, but as you are as the soul. And that perfection there's nothing that is higher. There's nothing that is more eternal. There's nothing more that is um, so all fulfilling and all deserving we are of that perfection that we are as God in us, my dears. God in us. So The perfection of your true self is our title. So let your eyes close to this world for just a moment and see if that these vibrations right here with us now are permeating through your density of a physical body, physical mind, physical this, physical that, and that you are absolutely aligned with the divine as you can understand that. And as we read just the last few sentences from last week to prepare us for today's reading on page 979, verses 23 and 24, it's all about, again, the right understanding of scriptural guidance for the conduct of life. Right, Hap? Yeah. So the advanced yogi, Yogananda says, transcending the advanced yogi, and I consider all of you advanced yogis. Again, don't go into that place where you can say, no, no, not me. I still got this going on and this going on. That's not you. All our limitations are not us, my dears. Can you, for just this morning, and maybe even today, just hold the truth for a change? Because they're going to be talking with that for the remainder of this chapter. Is the ultimate truth will be yet next week's title, the ultimate truth. Uh-oh, here's the other one. Oh God, they know I read this thing about dogs and how intuitive they are. And they need their Gita. They need their upload this morning too, my dear, says all frequency. All right. So the advanced yogi and yogini, transcending the limited faculties, the limited transcending. We're about transcendence, right? The limited faculties of the mind and senses. This is how we perceive Narayan, Mary, Lisa, Jim, Denny, Brooke. This is how we perceive life. We perceive with the pure intuition of the soul. The pure intuition of the soul. We don't see with our mind stuff, the alternating waves of our mind stuff, and it's just stuff, right? No, we perceive with the intuition of our soul. And how do we obtain that awareness of the intuition of our soul? Through the stillness, through the devotion, through you just being you with the divine, right? Not hiding anything. As Yogananda said, never hide anything from me. This kid in his school for boys in Ranchi, India, in his early years, one boy was sneaking the cigarettes. And one day, Yogananda, he knew about it. He knew through his intuition that the kid was smoking. And one day he talked to the lad and said, you don't have to hide those cigarettes from me. I understand you, man. You know, you don't have to hide anything from me. Don't hide anything from me. So we perceive with that pure intuition of the soul, which sees as God sees, which sees as our soul sees. So you could say you, Narayan and Mary and Lisa and Jim and Denny and Brooke are seers. You're seers of the truth. You can see through the the haze. You can see through the maze. You can see through the delusion. You can see through those that are entrapped in the dark side. You can see through this pure intuition of the soul, the true nature, the true nature. That's that perfect self. God, you don't have to worry about, are you going to change this and change that when you're already perfect, right? Game over. This game of reincarnation after reincarnation is over when you truly understand that you are perfection itself, God, herself, himself, itself, right now. Wow. Such is such is the energy that the Gita brings to us as we share this morning. That the pure intuition of the soul, the true nature, we're going to be transcendent bliss bunnies, all right? Using the pure intuition of our soul to understand the true nature and workings of this physical body. Wow. You know what Ananda Moy Ma said about the body? I wrote this out this morning because I saw this quote from her. She said, this body, this is Ananda Moy Ma, this body tells you to find your real home. Our bodies tell us to find your real home from which nobody can drive you out because it's not of this world. This body is a reminder of our true home, my dears, because it's going to give you every disillusionment that is possible to have if we're not being transcendent of this 3D HD heavy delusion and lift our gaze up to the spiritual eye point and live from that seeing. This is the ajna, seer, intuitive place, the spiritual eye. This body tells you to find your real home from which nobody can drive you out, which is not of this world. So she says, dive deep and unearth. I love that. Dive deep and unearth. And that means you're not of the earth, even though the Mother Nature, she's something, right? And we honor her and we love her. But dive deep and unearth your real wealth. Find your real home in God, who is your own self. Is that perfect for what we're talking about this morning, what we're vibing in this morning? Isn't that just perfect? This body tells you to find your real home from which nobody can drive you out. Nobody can get your goat. Let nothing get your goat, and that is your peace. And you know what? That peace cannot be known with the mind, yet it exists. It is the source of everything. So let nothing get that. Let nothing get your goat. The goat is your peace. It cannot be known. See how this is a quote. It's your true nature is beyond description. It cannot be known with the mind, yet it exists. It is the source of everything. Your true nature. You, my dear, let's get up close and personal, are the source of everything. Wow. So dive deep and unearth your real wealth. Find your real home in God, who is your own self, Ananda Moima. And this is our Gita. This is why we have the scriptural guidance for the conduct of life. And we have these teachers, right? We have the teacher that is the guru, which is your true higher self. And you have the teachers that embodied themselves in a form, came to earth, and shed the light. We have those teachers as well, and those that are in the higher realms that never for a moment leave you, never ever forsake you. No. So we're advanced yogis transcending the limited faculties of the mind and senses, perceiving with the pure intuition of the soul the true nature and workings of the body. And that's the best definition of a body that we heard from Ananda Moy Ma that I've ever heard besides Yogananda's teachings. So if you are one of those pure intuitive intuitive seekers, you will know its life and intelligence are yet your life and intelligence, that your life and intelligence are empowered and enlightened by the life force and consciousness issuing from the divine cerebrospinal reservoirs or reservoirs of power, which you possess as a soul. Remember that chant from Yogananda? Why, O mind, wanderest thou? Go into thy inner home. On thy left, Ida. On the right, Pingala. Those are those astral nerves, big ones that go kind of spiral around your spine, your chakras. On the left, Ida. On the right, Pingala. In the middle, the tainless Shushumna sees. That's the astral spine, the Shushumna. In the middle, the tainless Shushumna sees her with all thy might. Kundalini power in its subtle form liveth unconscious in the coccyx region. Kundalini power in its subtle form lives with unconscious in the coccyx region. This is my favorite part. Guru given power by pranayama, wake her with all your might. Guru given power, Guru given power, Guru given power by pranayama, wake her with all thy might. So why, oh mind, hither and thither around? We don't have to have hither and thither anymore when we have already this perfection. God are us. When we have the divine cerebrospinal reservoirs of power. Oh, celebrate, my dears. Give yourself a big soul hug energetically right now. A big soul hug. Maybe, hey, since it's Thanksgiving week, that you give it a big thank you. Give your life a big thank you today. So this is where we start today's Gita stream download of divinity. The body-bound person, the body-bound, wholly ignorant of this finer instrument of consciousness and action. This finer instrument of consciousness and action remains busily engaged in desultory bodily activities, the opposite of what we're talking about. Hold, oh, here's our word. Hold hither and yon. Don't let the frogs of sense weakness, Yogananda says, or I think Sri Yukteswar said, don't let the frogs of sense weakness keep kicking you around, my dears, right? So this body-bound person, wholly ignorant of this finer instrument of consciousness and action, remains busily engaged in the desultory bodily activities, pulled hither and thither, or hither and yon, by desires and temptations. That don't let the frogs of sense pleasures, desires, and temptations kick us around, of sense weaknesses. Because that choice to do that way or live that way, absorbed in trying to satisfy the restless demands of the physical nature. Yeah, there's a lot of demands if we go the physical way, right? Let's get physical, right? That's a long and windy road, my dears. Absorbed in trying to satisfy the restless demands of our physical nature. Remember who you are. You're pure spirit. You don't have a body. You don't have a body with all those sensations, right? So we experience, if we're going to go that route, though, only transitory pleasures intermixed. This is a heavy sentence. If you want to go that way, if you're still going that way or pulled that way, those transitory pleasures intermix with, Yogananda says this, violent miseries. You ever wonder why you get in a mood? Get in a mood, moody blues. Yogananda wasn't big on moods. He wouldn't let anyone come near him if you're in a mood. Well, those things lead to violent miseries, my dears. And if ever you feel miserable, it's because we have dropped our consciousness. We have forgotten that we are already perfect, okay? The deeper that person sinks into the tamasic darkness of delusion, the deeper one sinks in that direction, the further she or he removes herself. This isn't something we want. The deeper we are, influenced by that dark side, the further we remove ourselves from the inner bliss. No, let's don't leave. No, please don't leave. Please don't leave the inner bliss possibility, my dears. We remove ourselves further and further from the inner bliss and perfection of our true selves. Nope, not in our watch, not on our watch, right? Not on this watch, Narayan, Mary, Lisa, Jim, just for once, not on this watch. Do we allow ourselves? In fact, we do the opposite. We get up close and personal with the divine. There's that personal element, Yogananda says, in our search for God greater than mastery over the whole science of yoga. And this Gita is the whole science of yoga. So if you're still not satisfied with a higher, transcendent possibility for your life, it's only because we've dipped we've dipped down a little bit, and we're kind of being fooled by the Maya and the illusion and delusion, when really we don't want to get very far away. We want the personal element, that personal element in our search for God greater than mastery over the whole science of yoga is just you being you, my dears. It's just you being you with God. And that's like saying being you with you, because God is you, right? So there's no more making yourself wrong. God, everything almost seems like in this physical world, when we're not aligned to the higher principles, that everything doesn't work. It doesn't work. It breaks down. Yeah, it seems like everything is high maintenance. We want to be no maintenance. We want to be no maintenance, right? That we're not always maintaining or trying to fix ourselves or trying to be a little better or whatever else is the wanderings of the human consciousness, right? That we want to be up close and personal just by being you and accepting you, not as the limited, but as the perfection. How can God be in a mood? God is you. How can God? Well, he's the inner bliss and the perfection of the self. All right. So, and from the supreme blessedness. So, we're not going to remove ourselves from the inner bliss. Nope. Sorry, not on our watch. Or the perfection of our true self. Nope, we're not gonna bail on that one. Nor are we going to bail from the supreme blessedness of God communion. Dears, wherever you're at, in your little meditations and your spirituality and all that stuff, please don't underestimate its potency. Please don't underestimate that you're even slightly interested in it, right? It's taken us lifetimes to be interested in truth. And again, coming up in these closing pages of this chapter 16, we're going to read all about what is called the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth, not the facts. Don't give me the facts, ma'am. I just want the ultimate truth. And we're going to read about it. That's how we're going to end this chapter. But for now, we're not going to remove ourselves from the inner bliss and the perfection of our true selves and from the supreme blessed of whatever this God communion and union that you have with the beloved in your own way. We're not going to remove ourselves from that. We're going to be Thanksgiving. We're going to be giving thanks, not just on Thanksgiving Day and have a big meal and be, stuffed at the end of it, right? No, we're going to be up close and personal with the perfection and being so light and light and free, just free to be, no maintenance, no surcharge, no taxes, no maintenance, my dears. This maintenance thing in this physical realm is driving people bonkers, driving people to, just absolute exhaustion, right? So let's stay up close and personal with the inner bliss and the perfection of the true self and with the supreme blessedness of our personalized communion with God, whatever that means to you and in whatever way that you go about that. So this person who is stuck, though, his and her reascension begins. But don't worry, we're all going to reascend. We're all going back home, right? His and her reascension begins with a determined effort. Ready for a determined effort after the stream today, my dears? A determined effort to align our actions with the wisdom of the scriptural guidance and culminates with the awakening of the subtle inner centers of divine perception. So why, O mind, wanderest thou? Go in thine inner home. Why, O mind, wanderest thou? Go in thine inner home. On the left, Ida. On the right, Pingala. On the left, Ida. This very powerful energy line, the Ida and the Pingala that go around that Shushumna, right? But the Shushumna is the big deal. On the left, Ida, on the right, Pingala, in the middle, the tameless Shushumna sees. Seize her with all thy might, Kundalini power in its subtle form. Liveth unconscious in your conscious coccyx center. Really? Right at my lowest chakra? At the coccyx center? Really? Kundalini power in its subtle form liveth unconscious in my coccyx region, and then Guru given power by pranayama. Wake her with all your might. But it's Guru given power. So you don't have to do the doing. You don't have to figure that one out. My dears, you don't have to figure anything out. Just be you. Be who you truly are. I know you've heard it said many times, but really just be you and don't take your mind off of you. Oh, yeah. What is this other quote that I had? It was nice. Oh, yeah. It's C.S. Lewis. And you know what he said? He said, true humility is not thinking less of yourself. True humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. All right? I'll read that again. True humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less, which means more time practicing the presence of God. Yeah. Precious privilege, practice the presence of God. It's a precious privilege we have as children of the light. Practice the presence. Precious privilege to practice the presence. All right. So we're going to align our actions with the wisdom of scriptural guidance that culminates with the awakening of the subtle and inner centers of divine perception. Get to know that chant by Yogananda. Yeah. Why, oh mind, wanderest thou? Go into the inner home, right? This body tells you, as Nanda Moyama says, that they find the real home from which nobody can drive you out. This body, this is what it teaches us, which is not of this world. So dive deep and unearth your real wealth. Find your real home with God, who is your own self. You won't be driven out from anything. You won't be denied anything, my dears. Your slightest little desire will be fulfilled by God. If you seek God first, and everything else will be given to you. You've heard that. So you find your real home in God, who is your own self. Whew. I love this stream this morning. I think the doodles are snoozing. The doodles are snoozing. So Yogananda goes on to say, how many crimes have been committed and wars fought in the name of righteousness by fanatics? Sounds like the world of today, as the world turns today. How many crimes have been committed and wars fought in the name of righteousness by fanatics defending or seeking to impose their dogmatic convictions as the guide for human conduct? Really? It's kind of awkward, isn't it? It's kind of the opposite of what the scripture, the Holy Scripture, is advising us to do, right? And then there's a quote down here at the bottom of page 980, and it's from someone named Thomas Lynch, but Yogananda puts it as a quote. And this is what Thomas Lynch says: our own method of worship, our own method of worship. This is the way we do it, right? Or habit of life. This is who I am. May be to us as a cherished staff on which we have long leaned. Like you've had a staff and you've leaned on it, and you've lived with it, you walk with it, it never leaves your side. A cherished staff on which we have leaned and which we have learned to love. Let us not use that staff as a sword with which to vex and slay our dogmatic beliefs. Let's not use it, our dogmatic beliefs, as a sword with which to vex, confuse, and slay or kill. You probably didn't even know that quote existed in this Gita translation by Yogananda, did you? I didn't until I saw this and just read it. So, therefore, where are we? So we talked about the crimes being so many wars, crimes. When people have dogmatic convictions as a guide for human contact, it is neither the exactitude and multiplicity of rules laid down in a scripture. It is neither the exactitude and multiplicity of rules laid down in scripture, nor the size of its following that is the standard of truth. She's starting to warm us up to the ultimate truth coming up in the next weeks, my dears. What is a standard of truth? The only reliable text as to the divine authority of any scriptural injunction. So, the only reliable source of all of what we're talking about right now, my dears, it has to do with intuition. The only reliable text. What is the standard of truth? The only reliable test as the divine authority of any scriptural injunction is our own self realization. What kind of realization do you have around anything? It's your own buzz, man. You know, you're buzzing and you go, what's that sound? And it's your own sound of buzzing. You know, you're making your buzz, you're making your claim to fame or whatever, right? Your mindset. But in this case, we're talking about the realization of what we're studying here. In this Gita commentary by Paramahansa Yogananda. Therefore, the Gita exhorts, the Gita suggests, the Gita advises the devotee to know, and that was in parens, know, not parens, but italic. The Gita exhorts the devotee to know or intuitively understand. My God, we have to be still, don't we? We have to have the mindset. We have to keep working on our mindset, our heart set, so that when we do close our eyes to do the so-called communion with God or union with God or meditation, that we have really prepared. You know, take your sandals off was that burning bush thing I did in a meditation of the Bible in the burning bush. It said, "Take off your sandals, Moses. This is holy ground." So, you know, if ever you want to I feel the earth under my feet, whatever, coming down. Anyway, you want to feel your feet on the ground and really get a sense of what it's like to have an intuitive experience of something. Let's just feel our feet on the ground. Therefore, the Gita exhorts the devotee to know or intuitively understand scriptural injunction through one's own awakened intuition. Go for it. Go for it. Your own awakened intuition. Not what someone else says. It's your own awakening. And then and really honor that and honor anyone else's intuitions, even if they don't use that word. Honor what anyone says. Yeah. It might be an intuition for them. So, through one's own awakened intuition or that of a true enlightened guru, your higher self, truly enlightened guru, and the guru's teachings is truly enlightened. And then to follow those edicts judiciously. Your own Justice Department, my dears, your own Justice Department. Follow those edicts judiciously is only by this power of direct intuitive perception. Go direct. Intuitive perception. It is only by this power of direct intuitive perception, which does not depend on the fallible reports of the senses, nor on prejudiced intellectual inference. How's that? Prejudiced intellectual inference that one can unquestionably know the truth. You want to unquestionably know that you know? Because humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. Right? So we want to have more God time than any other time we're going to spend on this planet. God time. And how do you have God time? Well, it's a precious, precious privilege to practice the presence in anything and everything you do. So you have the presence with you. Yogananda calls it a portable paradise. He says you have a portable paradise you carry in your heart. Yeah, that's how we can unquestionably know truth, is that we have this precious privilege to practice the presence and commune in any way that we want to with God, that nothing can drive you away from your home, my dears, your truth, nothing. So get a grip. Get a grip. Let's all get a grip so we can unquestionably know the truth. And this is a great story, whether we finish it right now or not, but maybe we can begin it just to wet your whistle a little bit about what's coming up for the start of next week. Yeah, today is the 25th. Yep, we're going to be in December. What? Next week, I do believe, or close to it. Anyway, a story will illustrate the difference between truth. Stories are always good, right? Yogananda says a story will illustrate the difference between truth and the inferences of the intellect. We could say, instead of inference, the interference of our intellect as well. So I would just wet your whistle just a little bit. We'll get a little bit of a story and we'll get the rest of it next week. How's that? A saint sat meditating under a bushy tree. Isn't that funny that we should have the burning bush? uh, Sacred soul meditation was all about that burning bush that in the Bible, where Moses came upon a burning bush and all that. And now we hear about a saint sat meditating under a bushy tree. It's funny how things align, how God, all there's no coincidences, my dears. Whatever we shared this morning, I think as best as I can be a channel or whatever, that it's still God coming through. And the same for you. However way, whether you think of channeling or, letting God, may thy will be done through me, Lord, kind of thing. Yeah, trust it. Trust it. Because it's impossible for you to do it on your own. It's impossible. We don't even exist. But because of bliss, we are right. If ever you are right, it's because of the light. And if ever you want to rise above, it's because of love. Yeah. But not of your anything is of your doing. So a saint sat meditating under a bushy tree. Oh, you're probably really interested now, right? A frightened man came running to him and said, "Please, holy sadhu, I'm going to hide in the tree above you." A frightened man came running to him and said, "Please, holy sadhu, I am going to hide in the tree above you. Don't tell the robbers pursuing me where I am, as they are after my gold and my life." What would you do? The saint replied, "I cannot speak untruth, but I can remain silent." But the man warned him, "If you remain quiet, they may try to force the truth out of you. Just tell the robbers that I fled in the other direction. That will save both your life and mine." I don't want to give away the climax, but I don't think I will, by saying that the saint remained stoically silent as the terrified man scrambled to conceal himself within the dense foliage of the tree. The robbers appeared, and demanded to know the whereabouts of the man. The saint replied, dot, dot, dot. Until next week, we'll see what the saint says to the man that, terrified, scrambled up to conceal himself within the dense foliage of the tree while the robbers appeared and demanded to know the whereabouts of the man. The saint replied, we'll leave you with that. All right. My dears, it's been a blast. Thank you so much for coming on, because it's a soul party, you know. What we do here is a soul reunion and the communion and the attunement. Remember how many times have I said that at the end of the Gita, it's going to say, all you had to do was hold the book, and you will go to a high place in the inner worlds, that Christ and Krishna will be right there. Of course, they will anyway, because they promised that. They will be there at it when we go across, right? But it gets better than even what I just said. That if you dive into the Gita, and we're diving, we're unearthing, meaning that we're leaving the earth behind. That's what I like about what Anandamoy said. Dive deep and unearth your real wealth. Find your real home in God, who is your own self on earth. So we unearth ourselves, right? We put our feet on the ground so we can feel the higher frequencies. So that is that, my dears. So I'm going to get ready and my doodles are going to get ready. Yep, they're sound asleep. They're getting their morning nap. Oh, it's a dog's life, let me tell you. So, my dears, have a beautiful day. Thanks for coming on, and we'll stay tuned to the rest of that story. Can't wait to hear what that saint says and the moral of the story. It's pretty important, or it wouldn't be in this book. All right. Much love to you, and see you. I'll see you with the seeing eyes, which has nothing to do with the physical appearance at all, or what is the story going on in your life, has nothing to do with any of that. Has everything to do with the precious privilege of practicing the presence of God in our entire life, in our entire day, in our entire, yeah, everything. All right, that's what it depends on. Much love, much light. Aho.